Hey good folks, Ramban Avram here for Cgtuts, and today we are going to start creating this very lovely ice cream bar with delicious chocolate melting over it. Let's have a quick preview. Okay, so without further ado, let's get right to it. We'll start off by modeling the ice cream bar. There are many ways of modeling such a thing, and the technique I'm going to use is using the CV curve tool. So let's switch to front view, go to create CV curve tool, and I'll just start drawing the outline of the ice cream bar. By holding down X, I'm snapping to the grid. You might find it easier to use a reference image, and it actually might be a bit smarter. But for the moment, I'm gonna just stick with intuitive drawing. You can drag these apart. Drag these inside of it, so as those, the whole thing can be a bit larger. And this is just about it, I think. Bring these closer in. These as well. Okay, so I'm pretty much happy with this shape. Switch to perspective view. Okay, so now I will switch the shelf to surfaces, and selecting the CV curve tool, I will go to surfaces and extrude options. I would like to extrude distance, I would like to extrude polygons, quads, and count. 200 would work fine for me. Hit apply, and let's see, this is actually good for me. So let's close this one up. Let me bring in the outliner so you'll see what I'm doing here. First, I'll rename this curve to ice cream curve. We don't need to see it anymore, so let's hide it. Control H to hide it. Right now it's just a ring, and what I would like to do now is fill up this polygon on one side. I will switch the shelf from surfaces to polygons and go to Mesh, Create Polygon tool. And by holding down V, I can snap the cursor to the vertices, the nearest vertice, and by that I'm creating a polygon in the exact shape of the ice cream cone. So let me just complete this round, and getting closer to the last vertice, and at this point I'll just hit enter, and that will finish off the polygon. If I'll switch to shaded view, we can see we now have two separate polygons, the extruded shape and the polygon we have created. Okay, so next we'll need to combine these two parts into one. Let's mark them both, go to Mesh, and these two parts are now one, but we have one problem. The vertices are still not connected, so if I'll pick with this one up, you can see although it's one mesh, it's not connected. Let's undo this and go switch to side view. Let's mark all of these vertices here and go to edit mesh and merge. Let's mark the merge vertices and set the distance to 0. So let's run that check once again. The vertices are welded together. All very well. Next, what I would like to do is bevel this edge right here. Since no ice cream that I know of has sharp edges, we want beveled edges here. But if I will try to bevel this edge, it won't work, and the reason for that is that the face normals are not all pointed at the same direction. To display that, we can go to Display, Polygons, and Face Normals. You can see all the side faces are facing out, while the front face, I guess, is facing the wrong direction. So what we need to do is switch to Face, mark the front face, go to Normals, and Reverse. And now we have all the faces pointed to the right direction. We don't need to see that anymore. Go to Display and Polygons, Face Normals, thank you. And one more thing we need to do before we bevel the edge, we need to have some more divisions here on this front face. Mark the face and hit the extrude button, and we want to extrude over the scales X and Y. So I'll just pick one of those scales and mark the center scale and just scale it in a bit, and thank you, that's it. Next I need to choose the edge ring, so I'll go to Select and hit and select Edge Loop Tool, double click on one of those edges, go to Edit Mesh and Bevel Options. One segment is not enough, we'll switch it to 3. Width is a bit too much, we can use half of it, so .25, and I think it will look good. Let's hit apply. Let's close this one up, and yeah, this could be actually a bit, we can have the bevel a bit larger actually, so let's switch the offset back to 0.5. I think that's okay. I'm not gonna get too close to the ice cream cone. This is about the distance I'm going to watch it from, so this will do for me. So next, right now we have only 1/2 of the ice cream cone, so our next step is to get the second half. To do that, let's mark the mesh and go to Mesh, Mirror Geometry Options, and we want to merge with the original, and the direction we want is the -Z. Hit apply, and there you go. And just to make sure that all the vertices are welded together, let's pick one of those center vertices, and we can see they are welded together. Let's mark it, go to Edit, delete by Type History, Modify, Center Pivot, and Modify Freeze Transformations. Let's rename it to Ice Cream. And next we need to create the ice cream stick. Let's hide this one for a second. Go back to front view, go to Create CV Curve Tool, and once again start painting the general shape of the stick. Okay, this is actually very close to what I want. Just make this one a bit rounder. This is about it. Rename it to Stick Curve. Let's switch to Surfaces, and we'll go to Surfaces and Extrude Options. Now this time around we don't need so many polygons, we'll switch to half the amount, 100 for the count, and for the extrude length we'll choose 0.5. Hit extrude. Actually, you know what, I think we can go with even less than that. Let's go back to Surfaces, Extrude Options, and let's set it to 50. Okay, this is better. We don't need to see this stick curve anymore, so hide it, and we will need to paint the front polygon, so we'll go to Polygons and Mesh, Create Polygon Tool. By holding down V, I can snap to the vertices, and that way keeping my polygon accurate. Few more steps and hit enter. Okay, our polygon is completed. Mark them both, go to mesh and combine, and we need to weld the vertices together. So go to vertices and mark all of these, just making sure I'm choosing only the front vertices. Okay, and go to edit mesh and merge and set the distance to 0. It seems the face is upside down once again, but let's just make sure of that. Go to display polygons, face normals. Yeah, it's upside down once more. So face, choose this one, normals, and reverse. Okay, display polygons, face normals, we don't need to see that anymore. And now let's mark this face once more and extrude it on the X and Y axes. And now we can bevel it. Go to select edge loop tool, mark one of these edges, and we got the whole ring. And now let's go to edit mesh and bevel. Now the bevel can be a bit nicer than it is at the moment. So we'll change the offset to 1. And yeah, I think that does the job. And again, I'm not worried about this part here. This part is going to be inside the ice cream, and it's really going to be very small, so I'm not going to see all the details. So I'm pretty happy with the result I've got here. Okay, now let's go to the side view, mark all of those back vertices, and let's shorten this up a bit. Okay, now I do want to do a mirror geometry once again here, but the mirror geometry is based on the pivot position. And if I'll hit insert and bring this pivot up, we can see it's now not at the edge of the mesh, and so the mirror geometry will be created at this point and we'll have a gap, and that is not what we want. So I'll mark the Z axis, and by holding down V and click hold the middle mouse button and dragging it a bit to the left, I can snap the pivot to the end of my mesh. Hit insert once again, and now I can go to edit mesh, and now I can go to mesh, mirror geometry, and all is well. Let's just make sure that ready to see. Yeah, we are good to go. Edit, delete by type, history, and before we do a freeze transformation, let's bring back the ice cream by clicking shift hide, by the way, and I'll change this mesh name to stick. Okay, and let's drag it down, go to the front view actually so we can see what's going on. Okay, go to the side view. This could go a bit more to the back, and okay, I think this is good, but the stick is a bit too thick, so let's scale it down on the x-axis even more, and we are good to go. I think it could be a bit smaller. Yeah, maybe a bit higher as well. Well, I'm happy with this result. Let's go to modify, freeze transformation, and mark both of these and group them. We'll call these ice cream, bar, make sure the pivot is at the bottom. So once again, holding down V and hold the middle mouse and dragging, I can drag the pivot to the correct position. By holding down X and hold the middle mouse button, I can now snap the mesh to the center of my grid. Just making sure it's all set in the middle. Great. Now let's go to modify freeze transformation, and this is our starting point. Okay, now next what we need to do is set the UV mapping to both these meshes to get correct texturing going on. We'll start with the stick texturing. Yes, that's the easy one. Let's go to create UVs and planar mapping. And right now, let's just open this up. It's aimed to the Z axis, and it's actually done all we need. If we'll go to Window UV Texture Editor, all we need to do right now is give it back its normal shape, and we are good to go. Since I'm not going to get that close to the stick, I'm not worried about the texture being smeared on the sides. For the ice cream itself, let's go to Create UVs, Automatic Mapping Options, and it's set to Free Plans, which is fine by me. Let's hit Project. Obviously the front faces are selected well. All we have to do is now adjust the sides to be one strip. Let's start seeing what's connected where. Mark UVs and let's find the edges. I'm in soft select mode for some reason, so let's open that up and switch off soft select. Thank you. So where are these vertices? Let's mark this vertice and see where its cousin is. Okay, so it's this mesh right here and it's upside down. Let's mark some of these vertices, right click on those, go to select and select shell, and we can now rotate it and switch it over to this part here. Middle mouse dragging, you can snap the, well, it's not vertices now, it's UVs together. Missing a piece here, but we'll find out where that is later. And let's go on. We are looking for this part here. Okay, where is that? It's this one here. Just making sure if it's that it is, yes, it is upside down. So now let's mark this and right click on it, select shell, and let's rotate it. Move it over here, place it approximately the same position, and now let's start welding those pieces together. Okay, very well. And last piece, let's see where it's connected. This one is actually not upside down, so we can just drag it as it is. Right click, select, and select shell. Let's just weld this last part. Make those closer together. So our mesh is done. We have some parts missing, and this is probably as you can see, it's the missing parts are here. And if I would need to get close to the mesh, I would fix all these little glitches in the texturing, in the UV texturing. But as I said before, I'm not going to get close. So all we need to do right now is scale this part down a bit, and there will be differences in the texture's size because of the scales difference I've just created, but we can overcome that in Photoshop. So this is just about it for the UVs. Let's save those. Go to polygons, UV snapshot. I would like to get a nice large texture file size, so I'll save it at 3000 pixels by 3000. Image format for me is TIFF. Rename it to ice cream UV and hit OK. Same for the stick. Polygons, UV snapshot, 3000 by 3000 TIFF, and this will be the stick. Actually, we'll call it Tut stick out UV, and this will be Tut ice cream UV, and that's I'm adding Tut just so I won't get confused with my original files.
In the next lesson, we'll model the chocolate chunks and set up the light rig for both the chunks and the ice cream bars.